Hey everybody, I'm with Bob from Happy Dog Training. He's one of my clients, and today we're gonna learn more about his background, his passion for his business, and just really understand how did he get in this field. I always like to start out with my bread and butter question, Bob. What inspired you go into this field as a dog trainer?
All right. Well, long story, but long story short, in 2019, I was working like a typical job, like a lot of people. And I just had it in my head that I needed to make a change, man. I was like, I would rather be dirt poor and live in a cardboard box than keep doing what I was doing at the time. It's like, working in a cubicle, like
Right.
at a typical office job. And I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, to be honest with you. But as fate would have it, I had a friend that was actually already in dog training. He was needing some help in his business. So he invited me to come, check it out. And I started working with him part-time.
Yep.
And then eventually transitioned to full-time, working with like another dog training organization here in town. Did that for a little while. And then after about a year or so, started Happy Dog and went out on my own.
That's awesome, man. Of course, everybody have their beginning stories before they jump into entrepreneurship. I'm curious. I know we spoke about it from the beginning, but what was your first job and what was that like? And what made you kind of want to make the jump and get out of that?
My first dog training job or my
Just ever job, like
my first ever job? Oh man. My first ever job, I worked for this. I was like 14 and I worked for a guy in our church doing like landscaping. And I worked in this like flower shop and stuff when I was a kid. And then, like a lot of people, I had a million other jobs through my teens and 20s and stuff like that. And then a couple other career paths. But, ultimately this is the one that has stuck and it's been amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So before Happy Dog Training, you didn't have any like dog experience at all. This is something you just kind of like it came to you a little bit.
Yeah, not exactly. I mean, I was
Okay.
a dog owner.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the reasons why I'm actually a dog trainer is because my parents didn't let me have a dog growing up.
Oh, okay.
So this is like super embarrassing, but when I was a kid, so I'm the oldest of four, and we used to play dog like when I was because we didn't have a dog.
Yeah.
So I would make like my younger siblings, I'd like tie a rope around their neck, and they'd be like on their hands and knees, and I'd be like, be like training them like I was training a dog. We would play dog. We made a little dog house and stuff and all that kind of stuff. So when I graduated college, very first thing I did, I went and I got an apartment, and then I went and I got a dog. I actually got a miniature dachshund, like
Wow.
like
Okay,
the
just
one
like this
that's
one right
here.
here.
Yeah,
Oh my
my new guy, Leo. But yeah, I literally went straight out of college, got an apartment, and got a dog. Got a miniature dachshund, and then of course you get one mini dachshund. The joke is you're gonna get another one. So a couple years later, I got another one, and then I had a third dog, and they lived for a long time. And my youngest, Bentley, he was like a shelter dog, like a total mixed breed, whatever. And then he passed away a couple of years ago. And then, dude, this is my first puppy in like 16 years.
Wow.
So I'm literally going through it like right now, like all the things I tell my clients, I'm living it right now because we just got an 8-week-old miniature dachshund. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Did you ever think this was going to be your calling? I know we spoke previous as well. Like your background was a pastor.
Yeah.
Right? Like, did that have any influence at all? Or?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I love people. I love dogs too. But one of the things that I'm always trying to be clear about is the real reason why I do this is to help people, to help families.
Right.
And if, I can help dogs live a better life too, that's great. But the real primary driver behind what I do is helping people. Again, I love dogs. Some dog trainers are going to like have my head over that one. But really, ultimately, like it's a two-way relationship anyway. You can't just train a dog and then not train the owners. I can't even tell you, dude, how many times I've talked to people that like, oh, I sent my dog to this camp and I sent my dog to a board and train, but like they didn't train us. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You're not training robots.
Right.
So like the real ticket to success in dog training is you have to care about the people just as much as you care about the dog.
Right.
You have to care about teaching them how to be in harmonious relationship with their dog and communicate with their dog in a way that makes sense so that they can actually live the life they want to live with their dog. You can be the best dog trainer in the world and do all this fancy training and whatever, and then give the dog back and be like, presto changeo, but you don't work with the humans at all because you don't like people or, and that's really common in dog world is people get into dog training because they don't want to be with people. They don't want to work in an office. They don't want to work around people. They do not like people or they're not good with people or whatever that is. So they go, oh, okay, but I like dogs. I like being isolated. I can just be alone. My colleagues are a pack of dogs every day or something like that.
Right.
So they get into it for that and they have like no people skills. Not to knock on people that don't have people skills. There's a lot of skills that I'm lacking. Okay. That's fine. I'm just saying that I think one of the reasons why I have such a positive, relationship with my clients and I get the kind of results that I get from people is because it's not just a two-way or not just a one-way street where I'm solely focused on your dog. I'm really interested in getting to know the people, helping out their families and helping them achieve ultimately what they want to achieve with their dog too.
Yeah.
Most of the people I work with are like, dude, I love my dog. I just want to be able to like go on a walk with my dog. I want to be able to take my dog to a brewery or a park or a cafe, or just be like, I want my life with my dog to be nice and pleasant and enjoyable. And right now, they're like, I have like a terrorist in my house, you know? So, you know, if I can help people achieve that, that's like super rewarding. That's what I really am interested in doing.
That's really cool because like, when people think about getting the dog trained, it's so focused on the dog, but it seems like you're not just coaching the dog, you're also like, you're coaching the people as well to help them like become better.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you get this opportunity to pursue this passion. Did you reach out that guy that helped you train you, or did he come to you?
He actually came to me. So like I said, I was working kind of in the business where I was in financial sales, and he needed help on that side of his business initially. He was like, hey, I'm a great dog trainer, but I'm terrible at following up with people. I need someone to help manage my database. I need someone to do when people call and I have to be on a sales call. He's like, I don't want to be on a sales call.
Got it.
And that's what I was doing. So I was like, well, listen, I can help you out. You know, like everybody back in the day or even today has a side hustle or whatever. So that was kind of like my side hustle was helping my buddy out, managing like the business, more the business side of things. And then through that, I started getting exposed to the dog training. And that was like, oh my gosh. Like I still remember, like sometimes, you know, what's really funny is people are like, oh my God, I can't believe my dog. And I'm like, yeah, believe it. You know, like it doesn't blow my mind anymore. But then I have to remember when I first saw it and I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is crazy. It was like I had dogs, you know, for 20 years or whatever. And I loved my dogs, but my dogs were awful because I didn't know how to train them. And then when I first saw him working with the dog and I could see, this is what I'll never forget, I could see in the dog's eyes, understanding, and then, oh yeah, I can do that. Like he said to do something to the dog. The dog was like, yes, roger that. I can do that. I was like, bro, your dog understands you? Like, what is that? You know, like I'm over here just like saying, like yelling at my dog. And the dog's like, huh? You know, but he was talking to dogs. I could tell that the dog understood what he was saying and then could go do those things. And I was like, that is crazy. I was like, I got to learn that.
And that's when kind of like the passion just kind
of. That was the real like moment where I was like, that is really crazy. And now I see that all the time. And one of the things I think about is like, Tuck, have you ever given a gift to somebody that you love, like a family member, a close friend, and you know what's in the box and that they're going to like freak out and they're going to love. And you're just like, oh, I can't wait to watch them open this. Right? That's how I feel all the time now.
Wow.
Because I know what's going to happen. Like when I take the dog home after board and train,
right.
I know what the gift that's in the box and I get to watch them open it up and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, it's so fun for me because it's that same feeling of giving someone a gift and they're like, I can't believe this. Are you for real? You know, like type of thing. And I see that all the time. It's so cool.
That's awesome because they come for you for that problem, but also that's something like they never expect what happened to have obedience from their dog.
Yeah.
So like
People are like all the time, like, I can't believe this is my dog, you know? And I'm like, I get to the point where I'm like, why wouldn't hire me to do this? Of course, this is your dog, you know? But it's fun that people still are like,
disbelief.
So
they have to see it to believe it.
It blows their mind. You know, I think people have expectations. They're like, okay, I want an obedient dog. But then they see the capacity and the ability of their dog. A lot of times it just supersedes, you know, their expectations. That you know, and again, if you've had a dog that you've been yelling at for the last 6 months or a year or however old your dog is, you know, and they're like, oh, this dog will never get it.
It's impossible.
And then 3 weeks or 4 weeks later or whatever, the dog's back home and they're like, hey, mom, hi, dad. You can just go over here and sit down or lay down and come here or, you know, get off the couch, whatever it is that you're talking to your dog about, and then they're actually doing it. People are like, this is mind-blowing.
I think that would be amazing. Kind of like what I told you, my cousin's situation. He's 8 years old and he just never listens. So he'll be good for that, I feel like.
100%.
But that's great, man. So let's talk about the process of training to be that professional. Like, obviously, there's a lot of YouTube resources or a lot of coaches out there, except for the guy that you work with. What's this training like? And like, how long did it take you to become like good?
That's a great question.
Did it take like reps? So like what?
It's reps for sure. But the thing that I really love about dog training is I've realized this is like a personality trait of mine. Okay. So number one, I'm a super like artistic, creative type guy. I don't know if it's on camera, but there's guitars all around this room right now. And there's my white belt, my blue belt, my purple belt from jiu-jitsu. I like golf. I like music. I like martial arts. I like things where you can't master it quickly. Like you say, get good. It's like, I'm still getting good, man. I'm still trying to get better at this. This isn't like one day I was like, I arrived. You know, what I really like about dog training is that it's a journey. There's no like destination destination to get to. It's the same reason why I love golf or music or martial arts. It's every day I get to like hone my sword. I get to sharpen my sword a little bit more, so that every day I have something to look forward to every day. I get up and try to get better at something every single day. And those are the types of things that just like, that kind of drive me. And I think it's part of being like a creative type of person. This dog trainer, a YouTube dog trainer that I do like, named Tom Davis, he's got some merch. And one of the things that he says is that dog training is an art. And I totally feel that way too. 100%, there's absolutely some science. There's obviously science behind it. But I think the best dog trainers are people that can understand and process, have the intellect to understand the intellectual and scientific side of things, but also have a creative mind that can do, you know, the dance of dog training, that can really engage in the art of dog training, because no two dogs are identical.
Right.
No, you know, you can have principles and concepts of techniques, but oftentimes you have to find creative ways to mitigate new problems and new challenges with every dog. There's no like, I just do this and then I do this and then I do this and then this happens. You have to, like, there are a lot of times where dogs, especially with more challenging dogs, which we can get into if you want, because I had one recently, that really force you to go like into your bag of tricks and force you to be better at your craft. Just like when you, in the gym, you know, in the martial arts gym, when you train against much better people, formidable opponents, people that are at your level or higher than they force you to be better.
Right.
They force you to like grow, and that growing can be sometimes painful, right?
Right.
I have the same thing with dogs.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I have dogs that come in that some of them have, you know, some pretty serious challenges, and it forces me to be like, okay, I've got to really be creative here. I've got to really go deep into like my creative bag of tricks here, because, you know, the textbook way isn't always going to work every single time.
Interesting.
You've got to be able to navigate that in a thoughtful, kind of artistic kind of way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I never thought of it like that, but that's it's not one size fit all. You have to kind of figure it out.
No, definitely not. And dogs specifically they're super physical creatures, and they're super energetic creatures. Like, they really move off of your energy. So it's another one of those things where, same kind of with music and martial arts specifically, in jiu-jitsu, it's like flow and energy and distance and movement and all of that. I think, you know, that has, both of those things have complemented each other in my life. My dog training has made my jiu-jitsu better.
Wow.
And my jiu-jitsu for sure has made my dog training way better. 100%.
It's just a totally different mindset.
Totally different mindset. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like unlocking a different part of the map. And then you can apply those things, flow and energy and movement and, you know, distance management and balance and all those sort of things to when you're working with a dog. There's absolutely a way that you can move that helps guide and lead and cues a dog into helping them understand and how to behave. I think. I might be crazy though. I don't know.
No, that sounds really cool, man. Is there a specific type that pose more challenging than other? Or kind of, it's just like you said, it just really depends on kind of the dog.
Yeah, the challenging, like for the one that I was thinking of recently, I had a dog, a Cocker Spaniel that came in, very sweet, lovely family. The dog was 1 year old. It was a surrender from a breeder, and the breeder had kept this male Cocker Spaniel basically locked in a kennel for a year. The dog came in at a little over a year old, had never really been out of a kennel, had been just like, you know, doing all the things a dog would do in a locked box for a year. So think of all of the nervousness, anxiety, uncertainty, fear. The dog didn't know anything. The dog didn't know its name. But I mean, when the people had picked up this dog, they picked the dog up on a Friday, and they were at my house like on a Monday morning. So they had given the dog a name. The dog didn't even know its name. The dog knew nothing. And had no human interaction for, you know, and that's not ideal. You know, obviously, like anybody could tell you, like, that's not a good situation. So it just took a lot. It took a lot of, like, at the very beginning, just a lot of trust building and relationship building. You know, to open up the level of trust that you would need to train the dog. So that dog was a lot more challenging, but in the end, it's exactly what I'm talking about. It was the type of dog that allowed me to really explore. It was a challenging case, and so it allowed me to really explore all of my tools, and it forced me to be a better trainer. You know, I don't want to say, like, I hate to say it, but it, you know, for anybody that knows anything about dog training, you know, if you get like a 6-month-old, you know, golden retriever, you know, it's like, it's gonna go pretty good. You know, like they're meant to be trained. You know, they're not coming in with all of these issues or whatever that would preclude them from being super successful in a board and train program. The dogs that come in, especially, you know, the dogs that come in that have been adopted out from like Dorchester Paws or Charleston Animal Society or Rescue, that, you know, might have they have like just basically an unknown background, you know? You have to be really creative and find creative ways to connect with those dogs and communicate with them in a way that means something to them, but builds their confidence up and allows you to keep building up the trust in that relationship for it to be really successful.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Is there like like, for example, like you mentioned, a lot of times people come in, new dog or younger dog, but let's say it's like an older dog. Is it impossible to train that point, or there's still hope there for an older dog?
Yeah, no, not at all. There's definitely still hope there. You can always train a dog. My experience with that has been just like with people. I'm 43 now, and it's like I kind of know what I like. My life has been a certain way. I got my routines. I got my habits.
Yeah.
I got my likes, my dislikes. I've figured that out. Dogs that are a little bit older, again, not that they can't learn things, and some are really enthusiastic, whatever, but sometimes, you know, you meet some of those dogs and they're like, bro, really? Like, you know, I'm 43-year-old dog, you know, and I like my life the way it is. And now you're making me do
Change.
X, Y, or Z. They're like, you know, sometimes, you know, with older dogs, they're maybe a little bit less enthusiastic, or they're a little bit more like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Are we really having to do this at this point in my life, you know, type of thing? But absolutely, man, you can, with trust, patience, good communication, that's really all it requires.
Gotcha.
You know, you can absolutely train an older dog for sure.
Yeah, that's good to know. What do you think, like, from your experience, what's like been the misconception people have around like dog training and, you know, looking for this type of help?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't exactly know what the general public's maybe broader misconception is, but one thing that I always try to convey to people is that you can do this too. Okay, I am not the dog trainer that's like, though I'm the dog whisperer and everything I do is so mystical and secretive and magical. I can't stand that, dude. I cannot stand when people do like that. What I really want to do is demystify the experience. I want to explain to people in a way that they can understand what's really going on with their dog. I'm not trying to create like some kind of like the man behind the curtain thing, which I think a lot of dog trainers fall into, you know, because people are like, oh, it's amazing, it's a miracle, and and all that sort of stuff. So what I do tell people all the time, like, hey, if you want to do this with your dog, you can. You know, I think working with a trainer is a great idea. So hiring a trainer to come out and do like private lessons. And again, I think board and train is a great thing for any dog owner to do for their dog. But I also don't want anybody to feel discouraged in that they couldn't do this too. It would just take a little bit of time to learn. Because again, you have to learn how to be a dog trainer and then train your dog.
Yeah.
You don't just go like, I'm going to train my dog. But are you a dog trainer? Well, you know, then you have to learn how to kind of do this,
For sure.
but then you have to do it. You know, one of the examples that I use all the time, like a good analogy for this is like changing your oil or your brake pads. I have done both of those. I have like a pretty easy car, like a Lexus sedan, which is like it's like the easiest car for like oil changes and, you know, maintenance and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I've done that on my car. I've changed my brake pads and I've changed my oil before. Now I just take it somewhere and I have them do it.
Yeah.
It costs me more money. Yes, absolutely. But that's all these people do all day, every day.
Right.
Can I change my brake pads? Yes, I've done it. Can I change my oil? Yes. Does it take me way longer? Is it more frustrating?
Yeah.
And am I 100% sure I'm doing it right?
Exactly.
Not exactly. But when I take it over to Gerald's or wherever, you know, and I have them do it, I'm like, cool. I'm paying more, but the pros are doing it. I just peace of mind, you know, wash my hands and then I'm done with it. I feel like that's a little bit like why you would work with a professional trainer in a board and train capacity. You're like, okay, I'm going to spend a little more money here. I know I'm getting it done right. Peace of mind. It's going to get done quickly in the time frame that they promised for the amount that they promised. Right. I have like different guarantees, you know, so if something does go wrong, I've got support. So if I need some support down the road, all of those things, you know, kind of come to mind when I think about
100%. I mean, all the headaches, if people were trying to do that themselves, they're probably wasting money anyways because all the time and pain they go through.
Or what if your brakes don't work? You know, all of a sudden you're like at 526 and you hit the brakes and you're like, oh gosh, you know, or your car's like shaking and whatever else, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a great analogy. That's great. So like going back to the beginning a little bit, so then you start this business, and what was kind of like the biggest challenge in starting like a dog training business, and how's that different from like the corporate world and stuff like that?
It was crazy. Like when I quit my other job and I woke up one day, I was like, wow, there's no money coming in. You know, I've got children, I've got bills like everybody else. And it's like, if I don't get out there and find people that want to hire me to do this for them, then I'm not going to have any income. So that was like totally different than like, oh, I got to go to work on Monday. Right. It was like, I couldn't wait to wake up and like go and network and get out there and try to introduce myself to people and get connected to people that might need my services. So that's a totally different mindset than having a job. Just going to a job is like, gotta get up, I gotta go here because and then I'll get a paycheck after 2 weeks or whatever. It's like when you start a business, it's like, okay, prove it.
Yeah.
If nobody's paying you, you suck. You're not anything. You actually have to do the work and it has to produce results. If it doesn't, people figure that out real fast. Hey man, I paid you all this money to train my dog and look, my dog still sucks, you know?
Yeah, that's great. I think like you mentioned, once you jump in entrepreneurship, it's all on you. It's a different world.
But I like that personally. You know, I'd rather it be on me. I really would.
Yeah.
You know, I worked at a lot of different places and, you know, probably a lot of people can relate to this, you're like, how is that guy my manager? Or like, how is that? You're like, oh, okay. So it's like, this was my experience. The dumber people in like corporate jobs or like office type jobs, it always seemed like the worst people were at the top of the heap. And I was like, I don't want to be one of these scumbuckets. I don't want to play that game. I just genuinely want to help people. I want to be honest and real about what I do. I want to enjoy my day to day and not have to like put on a mask or put on a face, pretend to be something that I'm not in an office environment.
100%.
I like that there's no one, win or lose, like it's my responsibility.
Yep.
And I personally prefer that,
100%. And I feel like once you kind of find that calling, that's probably the most purest route anyways, to be yourself and also to serve others. That's really cool. It's exactly what you're doing now. That's awesome, man. So what do you see the vision for Happy Dog Training Academy in the next, 3 to 5 years?
Wow. 3 to 5 years. It's the first time I've thought about this. I think it's been a huge blessing for the last 6 years or so that I've been training under the Happy Dog banner. Ultimately, I think my goal, I would really love to be able to serve more families, and I'd like to be able to invite more people in on what it is we do here. I've had, helpers over the years. They've been great. I have a young gal that works with me right now that helps me out, and she's great. But I would love to be able to provide an opportunity for more people to get to experience how great all this is. Mm-hmm. So if I could get to a point where, I had a few more people on the team or something, that would be fantastic. I mean, my careers page on the website is always open and I'm always looking for people, but it is really hard to find good help in the dog trainer world. And I'll tell you one really quick thing about why that is. In dog trainer world, what I've found is that everybody wants to get involved in it, but they want you to pay them while you teach them. And this is what I've had to do for like most of my employees is they come on board. I spend, a bunch of time and money paying them while I'm teaching them how to do their job. Right. And then they might work for me for a little while, but then they might go work at another company or they might go start their own thing, which is great and whatever. But like, imagine if you were in any other industry, like imagine you're a plumber and you went to like, Roto-Rooter and you're like, hey, I want to be a plumber, but you need to pay me 40 hours a week while you teach me how to do this. And then in a year or two, I might just go work for your competitor or something. That's bizarre to me, So it's hard to find, at least for me, it's been hard to find qualified people that already know how to train that don't need a lot of hand holding. So if you know anybody, send them my way.
Yeah, hopefully someone here does.
Visit happydogtrainingacademy.com/careers and begin your journey below.
Yeah, I love it. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would love to work with you, man. And so let's go back to the early question as well. So what's a typical dog trainer client that comes to you look like, and what's kind of like the problem they have that set them off to be, all right, I need to come to Bob? Like, what do they look like?
Yeah, that's easy, man. I mean, the people that I work with are low country families, oftentimes families or couples, sometimes some single individuals, but people that are dog owners, dog lovers that have a good family dog. They want two things. This is what I've discovered. Number one, they want to alleviate any like nuisance behavior that they have. So leash pulling, door greeting, just not being able to take your dog out without them being kind of reactive on a leash or lunging at squirrels or dogs or whatever, those typical types of behaviors.
Yeah.
So they have that. And then number two, so they want to enjoy their dog. They also want to give their dog a better life. A lot of the people that I work with realize that their dog is not living the best life that they could. So they want to give their dog a more fuller life. I want to be able to take my dog to the beach, but right now I can't. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to take my dog to Riverfront Park, but I can't. Right. I want to take my dog to the brewery, but I can't. Right. I want to do all these things with my dog that I envisioned when I got this dog. I was like, I'm going to be that person that goes here and goes there. And I go, come here, Mr. Pickles. And Mr. Pickle comes and, then they go to the beach the first time, they unclip the leash and Mr. Pickles is gone. Yeah. They're like, oh God, Mr. Pickles, come back. Oh no, or they try to take the dog out and the dog's like, lunging at every other dog that walks by or whatever. So they realize that now their dog's life has become limited. The dog is stuck at home a lot. They don't go on walks. They avoid people. They avoid situations. They don't take their dogs to the places that they want to. And they're missing out on that. And they're like, man, my dog's just like sitting at home all the time because I can't take him anywhere.
Right.
And they're like, okay, I need to do something about this.
For sure.
So that's like the standard client that we work with. And then of course there are, maybe, 10, 15, 20% of the folks that we work with have, other issues like, hey, my 6-year-old dog snapped at my toddler the other day, or my dog has like all this anxiety about going in the crate, or, behavioral type of issues.
Yeah.
So those pop up from time to time. But I would say the vast majority of people just have a good dog. They love their dog. They just need some help, like, getting the most out of their dog and then giving their dog a better life.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. And like to add on top of that, of course, you provide board and training. Yeah. But what are some other services you provide? Because I understand you also do like private session too, right?
Yeah, dude, private sessions for people. That's a great way to get started. If you're looking, like, the private session people are people that have really no major issues, but they want to address like one or two very specific things. Like, hey, my dog is terrible at leash walking, and I just want everything else about my dog is fine. They're just awful on a leash. Whenever we go out, they're just dragging me down the street. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's great for a private lesson. Or you get a new puppy, and you've not had a puppy before, or you haven't had a puppy in 15 years like me. And you're like, oh my God, the crate training, the potty training, like, what should I feed my dog? When should I? Like, they just don't know anything about how to now deal with this little creature that is in their house. So, a private lesson is really me coming over to act as kind of like an expert consultant in your home, answering questions directly about whatever it is that you want. So in those private lessons, folks that hire me for those, they dictate the agenda. They fill out a registration form. They tell me what's going on. But when I show up at their house, they go, hey, we want to start here and we want to tackle this, or this, whatever it is. And then we just get to work.
Yep.
And most of the people that I work with in the private session capacity, I work with them 1, 2, maybe 3 times, maybe about 30 days apart. Okay. I don't sell any packages for my private lessons. They're a la carte, because I don't believe in making people work with me more than they want to or need to. I think that's insane. Yeah. If I can come over to somebody's house and I can give them a blueprint for success, answer their questions, and create for them like a step-by-step, here's what we're going to do. Sure. And it fixes all your problems in one lesson. Doesn't that make me a better dog trainer than somebody that's like, well, if you buy my 8-week package or, for $3,000 or something? I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Yeah. Like, if you can't give these people what they need to know in 90 minutes, what are you really doing?
Right.
You're just stringing these people along. So that's what I try to do. Private in-home sessions, I try to keep it like to as few sessions as you want or need. Okay. I'm not locking people into a bunch of sessions. They just buy them as they need them. And most people work with me once every 30 days, maybe once, twice, or 3 times at the most. And oftentimes for those private lessons, they get started when the dog is, say, 12 weeks old. So I come out for a puppy thing. I might meet with them once or twice. And then once their dog is 6 months old, they're eligible for board and train. And then they go, you know what? This has been great working with Bob. Right. Let's just go all the way with this thing. Yeah. We know him. We know his techniques are sound. His philosophy of training is sound. Let's send him to board and train. That's the way to really kill it, with dog training is, work with the trainer when the dog is young. And then when they're 6 months or older, send them off to board and train.
I love that. That sounds like a process that makes a ton of sense. So like once you're done training and you give the dog back to the parent, the owner, and they go through this ceremony, from what I heard, what's that process like when, you see their license? What's the most fondest memory you have after you completed a board and training with a client, and, what their reaction's like?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, the reunion is always great. People are always like, is my dog going to remember me or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, they'll 100% remember you. If you've ever gone down the YouTube rabbit hole of like dogs seeing the owner after they've been like deployed or something like that, it's like a little taste of that. The dog like jumps up and all the hugs and stuff. So that's really great. But for me, it's like showing them that their dog is actually capable of doing the things that they want to. So showing the dog like what we call a graduation lesson or a send home lesson. I spend about 2 hours with people in their home going over, everything that the dog has learned while they've been in training with me. And a lot of times, like during the 2-hour lessons, people will say like, I can't believe this is my dog. Like while the lesson is happening, they're just like looking at the dog and looking at me and being like, I can't believe this is my dog. I've had, not often, but I've had people like just cry and be like so happy about that. And that's like
I'm not
good
surprised.
feeling. Well, it's like I was saying earlier, it's like giving that gift, right. I know how it's going to go. Obviously I've spent a few weeks with their dog.
For sure.
So I know where the dog is at, like with their capacity and their ability. The owner hasn't seen that yet. While they are getting updates, regularly while they're in training, I don't show them everything. I got to save a little something for the send home. So once they do finally see it, and then when I hand them the leash and we go for a walk, and the dog that used to like drag them down the street is walking in a heel and turning with them and auto sitting and laying down and just being calm, by the pond where the squirrels are, where they used to just go crazy. They're just like, this is crazy.
Right.
And I always tell them, this is not the peak of your dog's performance. this is the beginning of a new chapter of life. So it's not like I'm bringing the dog home and being like, oh, this is the best they're ever going to be. Right. The really cool thing about the way that I've designed my program is that the best days for that dog are still in the future.
For sure.
You know, so the dog's going to get better and better and better. So most of the people are like blown away when the dog first comes home. And then as, you know, time goes on, the dog just gets better and better.
That's awesome.
And that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
You know, so it really is about unlocking a whole new chapter of life for owners and their dogs.
Yeah, for sure. Because not only the dog life improved, but the whole family life improved as well.
Yeah, they love the dog now. Now the dog is like the dog that they were envisioning.
Yeah.
You know, 100%.
That's awesome, man. What do you want people to remember you as, you know, with your business?
When it comes to that, I don't know, a good dad. You know, I got kids, so Happy Dog is great, but more than any of that, just a good man, you know, like a guy that's honest, that cares about people, and is a good family man and good father, good husband, all the really important things.
Right.
And being able to serve, you know, Charleston families, Somerville families, that's just an extension
for sure
of something deeper, which is like just, you know, love God, love others, be a good person, take care of your family, just be good, man. Have some fruit of the spirit, try to let that come out a little bit. And if it just so happens that you're walking that path while you're doing dog training, cool. That's awesome. That's really cool. When it comes to Happy Dog, you know, I just feel very lucky to have been able, when people are like, we had such an amazing experience, thank you so much. Like, I'm like, oh, really? You know, like, thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me that I was able to do something for somebody like that's really meaningful. You know, like, I feel like if I was changing brake pads or changing oil, you know, people aren't like, hey, I just want to let you know you really changed our family. Life was better. It's like, no, I'm just changing brake pads, man. But knock on anybody that is a mechanic or anything like that, because that's important too. But there's just something really cool about people just feel very grateful, and they let me know that. And the coolest messages I get are months after a dog has graduated. I'll get an email with some photos attached, and the dog will be, you know, at a brewery, or they'll be downtown, or they'll be camping and the dog is off leash, and they'll send me a message. And I get this a lot, you know, where they'll just be, hey, just want to say thanks again. Like, you know, Fido is doing great. You know, we're just really happy with everything. And I haven't heard from these people in months, you know, that I just get this message, and it just literally makes my day every single time I get one of those messages. Or whenever people leave me a review online and they say nice things about me, I'm like, oh, really? Oh my God, thank you. I'm always like, that's so nice.
Try not to cry.
It literally just makes my whole day. Like, I don't think people understand how much it really means to me. You know, when I see nice words written about you, like in a public place, like, that's really nice.
100%.
You know, that's really cool.
Yeah, I feel the same way too. Yeah, to wrap this up. So, Bob, if people want to reach out to you, what's the process like? Do they call you, text you, DM you? What's the process like to get in touch with you if they have questions around dog training and stuff like that?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me would be to go to happydogtrainingacademy.com. If you Google me, I'll pop up, or you go right to my website, fill out any contact form on the website, and I'll get right back with you personally. You could also call or text any of the numbers that are listed on the website. That would be the best way to get a hold of me. I am on Instagram as well, at Happy Dog Training Academy. So I guess you could like DM me there, but I'm old, so I'll probably be a little less responsive on Instagram. But yeah, through the website, or you could call or text me at 843-608-0148.
Amazing. Thanks for your time, man.
Oh yeah, bro. Thank you. Yes.